All right, we're live. DTLT today.
DTLT today.
Pilot episode.
This is the first one.
Yeah, that's what a pilot means.
Very first.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
You're my source. I don't go to Wikipedia. I go to you for
No,
definitions.
I'm not really like a dictionary or a encyclopedia. I'm more like a thesaurus.
At the source.
Pilot first.
What is a pilot, Jim?
It's good to be back on TV.
Yeah.
It's good to be back on TV as Jim Groom.
Yeah, not as one of many characters.
Yeah, but we're not going to talk about DS16. We've
No.
got enough of that.
We're
What are we
not.
going to talk about today on DTLT today?
Well, it's our pilot episode, so we don't have to be too formal. We're playing around with stuff, but I thought maybe we could talk about the Mac stuff, which I know you're such a huge fan of Apple.
I don't dislike Apple.
I
I just
know.
don't understand like why people spend half their life talking about it.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like you and Andy.
But I do.
You and Andy should be doing this. It should be you and Andy's show.
Well, I can't.
So
help
you guys
but
could
go
be
on
under the table
vacation.
like, Mac.
Nice call.
Yeah.
The first.
We got to set a
No.
standard here.
Fine. Well, we don't have to talk about Apple stuff. What other things are
No,
there?
let's talk about Lion because it will be fun. You've learned something about it today that you can share with
Yeah.
people, and then I can make fun of it.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Okay.
All right. So, I installed Lion on my laptop and my desktop.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can install it 3 times or 5 times. I'm not sure how many times, but it's definitely more than one.
Yeah.
So, $29. It seemed worth it to me to download and give it a try.
So is it $29 if you have like Snow Leopard,
Yeah.
or if you have Leopard,
Exactly.
or just to go
you
right
have to
up?
have Snow Leopard. You have to be able to upgrade it.
So you
because
can't jump.
You can't jump because you have to. The only way that they're delivering it is the Mac App Store, which is only available on Snow Leopard.
Okay.
So if you have Leopard, there's no way. They don't sell box copies anymore. They don't press any discs.
So let's take a little divergence right here.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Mac App Store
Yeah.
and the app approach.
Okay.
Do you think, and this is one of my problems with Apple, as much as Apple has been like the leading innovator, and they have, I mean, all the way back to iTunes and music, up through the App Store for the iPhone, they've been amazing at getting people to pay. And I think that's an important model. I mean, I don't want to
Sure.
ignore it.
Yeah.
But the problem with it also is not only getting it to pay, but also kind of taking that app logic and divorcing it almost entirely from the idea of the web. You know what I mean? And we see that not just with Apple products, but we see that with the iPhone, with the iPad, which you know a lot about.
Those are Apple products.
iPhone and iPad?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I would say
Yeah. But I mean,
not just Apple products.
but we see
the
this
iPhone and
also,
iPad.
particularly with Apple, with applications, right?
Right.
Like we're taking people off of the web in some ways, and it kind of, you know, right or wrong, I don't know. I don't want to get into that argument, but I kind of feel more comfortable on an open web.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing that I would say in fairness to Apple, Apple invented WebKit, or they were the ones who worked on WebKit primarily, open source it, put it out there, and that's the primary backbone to browsers. Even Android's, Chrome. Sorry, not Android's browser. I think Android is different, but Chrome's browser is built on WebKit. Firefox is not, the only one that's not, as far as I know. I don't know if IE has it as a backbone,
But I'm not saying that, like, you know, iPads and iPhones can't get access to the web.
No,
They
I know
obviously
you
can.
right.
But the way in which we're rethinking it, it's kind of like the web becomes an afterthought to this paid product. It's like iPhones and iPads have more in common more and more with paid cable TV
Right.
than they do with our idea of the open web.
But
And that's a model. It's not necessarily an indictment.
I think the people demanded that, though, and that's part of the problem. Is consumers said when Apple put out the iPhone for an entire year, they said we think web is the way to go. Create a web app, and people said, well, no, we really want applications. We want to be able to develop for this device. We think it could do amazing things, and they said we think web apps are the way to go. Go with web apps, and people were like, no, really. Quit fooling around and give us some sort of software development kit to make native things. And I mean, that was 4 years ago now. And, some things have changed in terms of what the web can do with HTML5
Sure.
that weren't available back then. that
Right.
maybe help the argument that you can do more on the web. You know, one of the arguments back then I remember was like you couldn't take advantage of a GPS function on a web app. So if you wanted any sort of application that said, where are you? I can show you restaurants and stuff. You sort of had to have a native application to do that. More and more, those HTML5 applications can do things like location data. But I think the problem with that is it doesn't do it well. There's usually a lag to that. You have to open a website, which means it's got to pop open a browser. It's got to load all that information. A native application, you pop it open, and there it is. So, you know, I can go either way on it. You know, I think there's benefits to both, and I do think in Apple's fairness that they still innovate in both approaches. I mean, they're constantly pushing forward
Like
open
with
source
Ping.
technologies. Yeah, well, let's not get into Apple and social networks.
Yeah, but I don't think their innovation. I mean, I think their innovation with hardware and with approaches to mobile and iPad have been amazing. I agree,
Mhm.
but I don't see their innovation in regards to making the web an open, more productive space.
Is that Darth Vader?
What the hell is that?
It sounds like Darth Vader's out in our hallway. I'm a little afraid.
Yeah, that is trippy.
That is trippy. I'm afraid to even go out there and check what that is.
Should I go?
I don't know.
Hold on.
Put on the wig, maybe, so people don't recognize you. There's like this sound, like.
That is horrifying.
What is it?
It's Joe Prophet. Okay, let me let you know the other bill.
Come in here.
Yes, Joe.
Oh. I expected
I'm wearing
like
them for the show. I love your shades.
pilot people.
Now
Pilot.
I'm getting a pair of those.
Beginner show. This is the quality. While Jim is gone, let me correct Jim in many ways and just say that he's misguided in a lot of things. It's pretty typical for him to go off on rants like that. And you'll see as we go on with this show and shows from here henceforward that typically his rants mean absolutely nothing and that you should just disregard them. So typically if Jim is speaking, you can go ahead and pop open Spotify or whatever it is you do and listen to some music. But when I'm talking, that's when you know that the gold is coming, spewing forth here. So just to give you a heads up, it's pilot episode, so we're getting started with these things, and I know that that can be difficult. I'm going to try these on. Prescription sunglasses. Never mind. So yeah, I don't know how this digressed into app versus web. It's an interesting discussion. We're trying to keep these to 15 minutes, so I could talk at length about this, and I think that there are fair arguments on both sides about who's correct and who's not, or if there even is one side, why can't it be both? And I think my argument in favor of Apple would be that they do both, that they innovate and that they push forward open web technologies like HTML5, like fast JavaScript engines, things that help web apps become better, but that they also allow a very robust software development kit for when people do want to have native apps. If more people are using native apps and buying native applications, that's good for developers. That the app economy has paid not just Apple, but also it has paid, many independent software developers too. So there's an argument there. And it's kind of nice right now because I have no counterpoint, so I'll just keep popping these out, and this is just pure gold since Jim is not here. I think he's coming back. But anyway, and we should probably talk, maybe, we may have a little bit of time to talk about the Mac App Store, or maybe that's something for a separate conversation, because the Mac App Store is different from the app economy and the iPad and iPhone.
Yeah.
I was just letting them know about everything that you had said incorrectly.
What did I say incorrectly?
No, I'm just joking. You didn't
I
say
actually took that as
anything
a side
wrong.
note. That student, those were his glasses. Those
Whose
are Joe
glasses?
Prophet's glasses. The student, so I had to
Okay.
take them off.
Gotcha.
He was like, "What are you doing with my glasses?" And I forgot totally.
Yeah. Oops.
Talking about the economy.
Right. Well,
It's a rough one.
yeah.
But
And
what were you explaining to the people that I don't understand?
I was saying that I don't know that there has to be a winner or a loser in web versus applications.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they're done.
No, that's fair.
And so I think in Apple's fairness, they haven't given up.
Here's my problem. Why do we always get hooked in the idea of, like, we're defending this corporation? Like, in Apple's fairness, or, like, Apple this, and, like, I want to come and, like, I want to tell you how much I want to defend. It's like we've kind of moved into this situation of, like, Coke, Pepsi, Ford, GM.
Right.
It's not a very healthy relationship to a company that's pretty much defined by very good design and powerful things. I use a Mac, I don't want to say, but, like, we're kind of in this weird relationship to it.
Yeah.
That was my problem with the iPad. It's like so many people when it came out were like, this will change education.
Yeah.
It's like, it felt to me like, really? Like,
and
that's where the conversation is right now?
And it's not that I don't have any criticism of Apple, but I'm saying...
It's that but.
It's the but.
It's that constant but.
Well, but if we're going to talk about web technologies, you're talking about the company that probably has the most, in terms of, like, HTML...
What has Apple done for the web lately?
Their mobile browser has the most... adoption of HTML5, of newer web technologies that help you take advantage of it.
How are they doing with Flash?
I would argue that Flash is a closed technology, and why would anyone want to use it?
Exactly. That's what Apple argued.
Yeah.
And did.
Yeah.
It was just nice of them to do that for us.
And,
close the door.
Well, we've seen
Shut
better
the door.
battery life. We could go into a whole thing
Shut
about
that
that.
door.
We might actually be reaching 15 minutes here. This is going to be hard to make any points.
Then you close it off. Then you go on to another point. Apple's done.
Yeah.
What else?
What else? We should talk about the Mac App Store at some point, though. Maybe not today, but that's interesting because it's separate from iPhone and iPad, but that's how Apple is going to be delivering software from here on out, and that's how
right.
Lion was delivered, which some people thought was the biggest because it's an entire operating system, and it was literally a digital download, hit a button, nobody sold me a disk that I then, had to file away in a cabinet. I can always go back and re-download it. In fact, like I mentioned, I did the desktop and the laptop. And as soon as I downloaded it on one, I could go to the other, and it knew that I had paid for it already.
Well, you did a couple of things. Like, you downloaded the iMovie 11,
Right.
like $15.
Yeah. And I was able to put that on both of them, too.
Yeah, I just remember back in 1994, 95, like, it was so much easier. Like, you go to the Wares sites, and you just download, like, all sorts of things.
It's so much easier to
now
pirate
it's like
software.
Everything's like, let me go to the little store. Let me go and buy my little thing.
Well, it's
like
easy, too.
We lost our backbone.
It's easy,
like,
but it costs
the web
money.
was once going to be, this space for sharing and doing all these things, and now it's become a place for, like, okay, let me go to the mall.
Still using the
Thanks,
web.
Apple, for helping bring
Still
the mall
using
to
the
the
web.
Yeah, you are using the web. You're right. Abusing it. You're using the web to get to their app mall.
All right. We're going over, I think. When did we start
You
this?
got to stop it.
Do we even know? We don't know when we started it, but we're trying to keep it to 15 minutes. So I will cut this short and say, for Jim, apps bad, web good.
Well, no.
No.
No, I you know
We'll cut it
what?
short.
We should probably stop this show and do a whole different show.
Not today, though.
Why not?
I don't know. I thought you were going swimming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You gotta go.
Well, look, I got the new
Yeah.
headboard.
That's freaky.
Yeah, it is, right? It's
Yeah.
really tight.
You know what? But
And
at least now you can show your face at the pool without looking like a creeper.
I was totally, because when I was in the pool, I had my cap on
You kept
and my
the hat on.
glasses.
Yeah.
Because I felt so weird with that little Dr. Oblivion
Yeah.
tuft.
I wouldn't bring my child near you.
Yeah, I must have. And my daughter, Tess, knew how to get my goat. She kept on pulling off my hat. I was like, stop, Tess. And she knew.
Yeah. All right. Well, DTLT today. That's a bit of a tongue twister.
DTLT today.
DTLT today. Pilot episode in the bag.
And we'll cut off anything over 15 minutes. We'll
Just
cut
stop
it.
right there.
We should.
Yeah.
We should be vigilant about
We
it.
should. We'll need to get a timer and just have it up there so we know.
Okay.
Or when I hit broadcast, I'll need to know. But
Awesome.
anyway, we'll try to do this every single day, right?
Yeah. Every day.
Every day.
Every working day.
Every working day, we'll be here online talking. So, peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye.